thank all of you for taking time today to have a conversation, and I hope that it's short time, but I hope that we get a little bit to the meat. I'm an American, we want to get things started a little bit. But I do want to thank the Foreign Office for hosting us. This is an incredible building. I was thinking as I was coming in how many times I came here as a government person, and it still inspires me when I walk in, so thank you. I also want to say, and you guys are too young to understand how important this is, the fact that a private sector company, Lloyd's Bank, is taking time and effort and inspiration in all of you is tremendous. So I want to tip my hat to you and to thank you for doing this. They are the women of the future. They are the future, and they're going to prove themselves in so many ways. What I thought I'd do today is to tell you very, very briefly a little bit of a scenario of how I got to be in government. I'm not in government anymore, so let me be clear about that. But then I also want to take a couple of questions, which is what I had really hoped we could do, so you could ask some granularity. But there are three things I want you to take away from today in terms of my own career. I'm not somebody special. I had an incredible journey, it is true, but it is not me, Farah. It is the things that happened because of people that are in my network, which is why what Pinky just said to you is so critical. The people at your sides, the mentors that you have as teachers, your parents and others will help move you in a direction that you don't even know today. So a little bit about me. I wasn't born in the United States. I was born in northern India. I came to the United States when I was a baby and grew up in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I was very privileged. I had a very, very lucky education. I went to some of the best schools our country has. But I was raised by a mother. My parents got divorced when I was 10. I was raised by a mom who was a physician and put education first. It was very important for her that she said, I'll be growing up in the United States and the only thing I can give you is an education. So that was very important for her. It helped me build a platform that made me understand what I was capable of. But here's the big thing. Everybody in my family is either a doctor or an engineer, okay? I did not do so well in science, okay? So I was really, really interested in foreign affairs. For some reason, and I think it's because I was born in northern India, and every summer we would go back to Srinagar, and I would sort of see the world in a bigger place, as a bigger place. And when I was growing up, this idea of international relations was very appealing to me, but nobody in my family had any idea what it meant to be a foreign specialist, international relations specialist. And they were not really that helpful in helping me navigate those waters. And I'll come to that in a moment. But I say this to you because the first, I'm going to tell you 3 P's. The first is passion. It was always a passion of mine to think of the world as a bigger place than just the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or indeed the United States. I wanted to understand how things were put together and the role that I could play. I was really active in high school. I was in student government. When I was in college, I was in student government. I wanted to listen to what people had to say. And whether you're in a club, whether you're an athlete, you understand the power of teams. You understand what it means to listen to your peers and to know that whether or not you're pushing for a pizza drive to raise money for something, or you really want to change a rule in your school, those things are leadership development. Those things help you polish who you are and how you express yourself. So when I was in high school, I was doing a lot of that. And when I was in college, I was doing a lot of it. When I was in college, there were some really nasty things that were happening across the United States around race, much like America today. We were having all kinds of conversations about black and white. We were having a lot of conversations about class. It was not a pleasant time. And something really horrible happened when I was in college, just in my junior year. So I had 4 years in college, so my junior year. I had just become student body president, and you served for a year. I was 2 weeks into the term, and a note was found on the door of a woman of color that had the most vile language I had ever seen or read in my entire life. I'm telling you this because it startled me to the core. As somebody who grew up celebrating diversity, understanding the power of diversity, and understanding that it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters what you do on the ground, it didn't make sense to me. In the following fall, when I was a senior, the tradition in my college was that the student body president gives the opening speech to the school. That's what the tradition had been for a very long time. It so happened in the fall of my senior year, the First Lady of the United States, at the time it was Barbara Bush, George H.W. Bush's wife, Barbara Bush, was on the college campus on the same day giving a speech. I gave a speech about diversity because of what had happened the spring before. Why am I telling you this? Because the day after I gave the speech, Barbara Bush, the White House called, and they said she really liked what you had to say. Could she have a copy of your speech? Now, at that time there was no email, right? You fax things. You guys even know what a fax machine is. You fax things. And she started quoting me throughout the United States in terms of what I said about diversity. It was the way I got my first job out of college. I'm telling you this because she listened to the words that I had to say. It goes back to this issue of passion. She heard the passion in my voice. She understood what was important to me, and I was very blessed that she took the time to take what my words were and move them forward. In the course of my career, that is how I got my first job, but I had other jobs after that. I left government. I went to graduate school. I followed my passion. I was very interested in extremism. I interviewed militants. I learned about extremism. And in the journey along the way, all kinds of wonderful things happen. It's all, an interesting thing to look back on. But here's what's critical for you to understand. Almost 20 years to the day, another First Lady of the United States, Hillary Clinton, former First Lady of the United States, was Secretary of State, and I gave her a briefing just as she became Secretary of State, telling her what I had seen about extremism in Europe, telling her about the problem of how young kids were being seduced by extremists, and that we, the United States, had to pay more attention to the youth in Europe and understand the importance of what was happening. I was supposed to leave government. She asked me to stay. And the bookend of my career is that two former First Ladies listened to the words that I had to say. At its essence, at its core, was the passion that I had for the things that I was doing. The second thing that is part of that journey, too, is that I persevered. Despite all the book in the middle that I'm not telling you about, the highs and the lows of one's career, I understood what was important to me, and I continued on. And the third component of this is that I knew who I was. My principles were important for me. So as I think about all of you right now, at this moment as you're starting your career, whether you meet a First Lady or you don't, okay? It is about who you are, who you really are, what you're interested in, and how you think about your own life. Not echoing the life of others, not trying to mimic who is doing what down the street, but the thing that motivates you, the thing that inspires you, and the thing that wants you to come to it so that you lead. You are leaders already. You will continue to thrive and be leaders. Continue to polish the skills that you're learning now, and I cannot wait to see what you will do in the future. So it's a pleasure to meet you all. I think we have time for a couple of questions today, but I want to leave you with that because I want to tell you that sitting in your shoes and when I was your age, the journey was not complete in my brain. I had no idea how any of this was going to transpire. But the thing that I absolutely know is that if you're authentic and true to yourself, follow your passion, follow your principles, the world will unfold in amazing and wonderful ways. So let me get some questions from the floor.